The third opportunity, I've touched on this already, but subdivision design or housing estate design, when you're designing your streets and you're designing your parks and your paths, currently it's only voluntary, so we're not getting enough take-up. We're getting 2 out of 52 estates are including sustainability considerations. We basically need to make this tool mandatory, and we're prepared. Our company and Tree Spatial Planning have prepared tools that are simplified versions of the other tools, and we incorporate other ideas that we've got of our own. We've developed guidelines that where ESD can be more incorporated more easily in all estates. We're very happy that the council that's engaged us has shown interest in bringing these guidelines in place and that they can get better sustainability in the new housing estates. Land developers, we've spoken to some land developers, and they don't mind more sustainability coming in so long as everybody does it. And that's the importance of making the tools mandatory. If they're not disadvantaged by having to do ESD where their neighbour who's developing a subdivision doesn't have to comply and follow ESD, then they'll be happy. If everybody has to follow the same rule book, then all the land developers will be happy. These are just some of the items that we touched on in our ESD guidelines that relate to subdivisions. There's some in there that will be familiar. There's some other new ideas that we've had that we've put in there, but we've aimed to make it simple and certainly improve the sustainability of subdivisions of housing estates. The final area, I'd like to talk about is right. You've built your lots, you've built your streets, you've built your parks, you've built your paths, you've got your lots subdivided. People come on board and want to build their house. The only level of sustainability applying to houses is the minimum standard energy rating. The houses need to achieve a 6-star energy rating. Now, 6 stars is actually 6 stars out of 10 stars. People aren't often aware of that. Our energy rating system for houses goes up to 10 stars. The confusion lies in the Green Star tools, which go up to 6 stars. And Green Star is a great system, but it's quite well known. So Green Star 6 stars is world's best practice. Now, Australian houses are clearly not world's best practice. So the confusion often lies that people think 6 stars is world's best practice. And housing developers, builders will play on this a little bit. They'll talk about the energy efficiency or the sustainability of the houses that they're building being 6-star houses. A lot of people think 6-star houses is a fantastic result, but 6 stars is 6 out of 10 in our house energy system. So it's a real shame that that's occurring, that lack of information in the industry. So what we've got at the moment, we've got energy efficiency is being covered to 6 stars out of 10, but we're not covering these other aspects on the right-hand side, which should be addressed and which we have incorporated in our tool. They're all critical elements of sustainability that aren't being addressed in our new housing estates. Again, much like the subdivision design stages, there's no mandatory requirement to include ESD in the housing in houses. And it's a shame because what they do include housing design guidelines. Basically, there are housing design guidelines. Every new estate has to have a housing design guideline. And the housing design guideline basically says what needs to be done when houses are being built. And it really covers fence heights, it covers roof colours, it covers colour of your materials used in your house, it covers the finishes on your concrete driveway, it covers very superficial elements but no ESD. So the mechanisms there, what we're suggesting is that ESD requirements should be included in housing design guidelines, and again it should be mandatory so that all development that occurs within a council area includes mandatory ESD design guidelines as part of the housing design guidelines. And again, as with the land developers, the builders don't have a problem with this if everybody has to do it. They've been happy to put Millet appliances in and stone bench tops. They won't mind putting ESD in if everybody has to do it and they're not disadvantaged by the rules. So the key is mandatory guidelines in your subdivision design and your housing design that apply to all. And these are just some of the typical items that we put forward as required in the particular housing design, ESD housing design guidelines that we've prepared. And they're not things that are unfamiliar generally. We've got some nice ones in there to encourage ageing in place that aren't particularly difficult, but yeah, that's... And really this is a summary slide. Just going over the last of the 4 opportunities again. There are really good examples of housing estates that have good subdivision design and also good housing design. And that's Mullen Creek in Donvale, it's the Cape Patterson in Victoria as well. Elmwood in Wodonga is a fantastic estate. Ironbury included front porches on the houses, and that's something we've got in our guidelines as well, the requirement for front porches. And it really just, we walked through Ironbury and noticed one day that there are people out in the streets, people on their front yards and things like that, so it really does work. But the good news is, and there's a good news story out of this, it's not that hard to happen. We have the knowledge to do what we're doing, we just need to have the, actually take it on board and do it. But we're very happy we've been engaged by council to do this, and we're looking for some good results out of it. But thanks very much.